This is the first morning back from 5 days in ceremony with a circle of people on the land. Specifically, land in northern New Mexico. Land that holds the entire history of this place, as does every piece of land holds all of the history of the place. We just don't get to actually be on the land in most places. I'm gonna go slow. It's gonna annoy most people. And I know that because I just went 5 days without picking up my phone. It's actually six days. And the first thing I noticed the second day in was just how I could focus on myself, my environment, what was happening all the time outside me and inside me. And without referring to a device, to see what the things were that I had to check on the device, I could look around me, feel, move, see, get out of the sun, make choices within constraints of that environment. It was very fulfilling, nourishing, joyful in a very, very vertically grounding way, where I felt delight at the smallest of moments. Having a hummingbird come into the circle, unzipping my tent in the morning to see, actually in the middle of the night, to see the incredible starry skies. It's so dark that the number of stars is really unbelievable. To watch storms come in, to see rainbows, sunsets, sunrises, just all around all the time. This is why I'm drawn to this place, New Mexico, because of the sky. That particular flat mesa landscape lends itself to just so many miles all around of sky drama. Don't need videos and television in New Mexico, for me, from my perspective, because it's just watch the sky from morning to night. And of course, there's a period of time in the middle of the day when you cannot look at the sky or you will be burnt to a crisp. And so there's a respect for the elements and being out with minimal shelter. I got to refine some things in my gear inventory. I need a new cooler if I'm going to do another, which I am. I'm doing a 12-day experience in a few weeks, and definitely need a better cooler. And I learned so much, and I wanted to say so much. I'm going to try to create some chapters here. One of the things I'm thinking about is elderhood and the lack of initiation in modern cultures. And who knows what we mean by modern, but just the cultures we experience now on this planet seem to be devoid of initiation for adults, both men and women, which means some experience or set of experiences that allows us to incorporate our experiences of life and our growth and development and be supported in making meaning of that and recognizing what our unique experiences as humans bring to our ability to show up and contribute in the larger world, in relationships, in society, in our own, the ways that we take care of ourselves and our choices. And the framework for the ceremony that I was part of uses the idea of the 4 directions, north, south, east, and west, and just using those as language and markers for aspects of the self, no matter what culture you're in, the aspects of the human self, maybe through the life cycle. So it could be thought of as the child, the wound, the adult, and the spirit, or that mystery of the death and birth cycle. And elderhood to me is the heading toward all the time the incorporation of all 4 of those wholeness. So to me, elderhood is not about chronological age, because we know many wise ones who are very young chronologically, and many old chronological bodies that have not developed wisdom or expressed it. And I think we're all experiencing a world that is run by non-elders that have seized power through the various means available in our social structures, and there are parts in us witnessing this that feel very, very frustrated by the lack of wise, whole, elder leadership that acknowledges what humans are going through and they're going through. And so the way that I experienced in this circle for exploring these aspects of self was through solo walking missions or intentions or invitations, where the invitation was to go alone, go without shelter and without food for the period of the walk, which could be any length of time, from a few minutes to a few hours. So it wasn't like a very rigid structure. These were experienced people. I was the only really uninitiated, non-experienced person in the group. So I had a lot of great mentors all in the group to learn from and to observe and to feel held by. Which is interesting as I enter my own stage of later adulthood and desire to step into more elderhood in myself. I'm seeking spaces where I feel more held, and I'm not the only one holding, or I'm not in that sort of top of the pyramid type of creator leader role so much right now. But it's interesting because I do have a desire in my elderhood to create something of legacy, but it will be of a different shape and made in a different way than the things that I've made before. And in order to discover that, I'm really feeling drawn to finding some different examples in the world of how that might feel for me to step in to a different kind of creating role. So there were 4 walks, which I won't talk about in this video. But what I do want to talk about in this video, because it feels like the first of something, is the ritual of going to the land in some way. And I'm just going to call it a personal ceremony where there's a threshold into an intentional place that is about being in relationship with the land alone, without food and without shelter. And walking or sitting, just being in relationship with the land, holding some intention. And then coming back with a story. The gift of the time is a story. And I learned so many different ways of bringing back the story that I'm going to be playing with in myself. Speaking is one of them. Allowing others who have either been in their own ceremony or have a desire to develop their own ceremony in relationship with the land. The land as an alive, animate being. Many, many traditions around the world speak of the earth as a living being, not just in the Western Hemisphere. So to bring the story back and to share it is a profound gift. I have no idea what the aligned ways and forms will be for me to share stories from my time on the land. But I'm going to start with what I have and know now, which is little videos that I sprinkle around on the internet. We'll see. I have other ideas, but I wanted to start with this one today. Partly because I wanted to have a record of where I am in my bodily system, my way of speaking after these 6 days of not being on my phone. And I'll say that I got back to my place that I'm staying right now, which is a very simple place to stay compared to my current home. But it was still definitely noticeable, the complexities of living in these structures that we live in, these freestanding houses, and the joy and the simplicity of being able to camp in a tent, gather all the food that I'm going to eat for 5 days, and have water. There was water there, that was essential, but also bring, water. I brought water. And to not be on my phone. And I don't know what it was, because I walked through the door of the casita, and it wasn't like I immediately got on my phone, but I felt, the patterns of the world that I live in. And I did have to eventually feel like it was time to check my messages. There were many text messages, and then, of course, I kind of quickly scrolled through my email, which there was nothing personal in there. It was all the ads. I mean, all the, mass emails that I get. And then Instagram, which had just been going on the whole time without me. But it was interesting that on my feed, there were 2 new accounts that I hadn't followed before that I did start to follow, because they were interestingly women who are working in their relationship with the land through walking, meditation, and in one case, creating drawings with charcoal in response to time on the land. And so that was interesting, because I did keep a journal. I did do some stitching, but the way my art practices are currently, they're not in formats that allow that full expression of what it was like to be on the land, which is total body, right? All senses from all directions, in all planes of space. And so these small, flat formats that I currently am working in, because I'm traveling and because I haven't had space for a few years to do the art that I've felt in my body to do. This account that I saw this morning provided some spark of inspiration for me to play with a different way of responding to my time on the land. So to me, there's an integration between this practice that I've developed here over the last 2.5 months of, well, actually, this practice of being in ceremony on the land has not been 2.5 months. It's only been several weeks of really setting the intention and watching what happens from that. And so it's amazing that only in that time it has really transformed the way I see a lot of things in life and a lot of things internally. So I'm in the process right now of integrating and incorporating what I'm learning from this practice of being on the land with intention and gathering story, because there's a story every single time that I've come out with a question for the land. And it has done something to shift the quality of my attention while I'm walking or sitting on the land. And so to have a response, a way of bringing the story through me into form, whether it's through speaking like I am now, or some other form of land art or art, another medium, or movement of the body, or combination of these things. Song is another, sound and song is another way. And they're all just so beautiful, these forms, when we let the gift of the land come through us in any form. And even imagining these stories as offerings back to the land, not just to other humans who may or may not be connected in relationship to the land. It's very difficult in our modern existence, the way we're really forced to live. It's difficult to be in relationship with the land, because if you anyway, it's just difficult. It's challenging. It's not impossible, but it just takes a different mindset and some different sacrifices, because it's much easier to find a way to live disconnected. That's what all the opportunities that are readily available do for us. So thinking of the story as a gift to the people, very, very real. But also in the telling of the story, or the sharing of the story, and the sharing of the gifts that the land has given to me, is also an offering back to the land. You know, we want to write our memoirs as humans. The land also has a memoir that wants to be heard by us, because we have the potential to do great harm to the land as well as reap benefits from it. And so its story yearns to be told. I feel this, that the longing and yearning in my heart matches some yearning and longing in the land. So that's all for today. That's just me talking a little bit about what I'm intending